Good afternoon, Miss Gillette's class and Miss Gillette. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person today. I got called in for an interview, which is exciting. So hopefully I will get hired eventually. And that's going to be my goal for the next couple of days. And today we're here to talk about goal setting. We're using what's called the Self-Determined Learning Model of Instruction, or SDLMI, to do that. Basically, we all know about goals, and we have some of them, I'm sure, but we need a systematic way to move through goal setting. So we're going to do that together using an example that's going to help Miss Gillette as well for increasing your reading comprehension skills. There's a quote here that I love so much about goal setting and being motivated and being disciplined. So it says that you will never always be motivated. You have to learn to be disciplined. And this is important because there are some things that are really challenging in life, and reading comprehension skills, for example, might be one of those things for you. So you may not always be motivated to increase your skills and goals, but you have to learn to be disciplined to do so. And this self-determined learning model of instruction gives us a way to do that because we can move systematically through goal setting. It doesn't mean that we want to do it all the time or that we even like to do it all the time, but it gives us a way to make progress through our goals. Some key terms that we're going to discuss first are problem. And what's the definition of a problem? It's something that keeps people from getting what they want. So for example, a problem might be if you want to try to pass your driver's test, but you can't read the test. So that's a problem. And you'll need to learn the words, you'll need to learn important vocabulary and important signs to do that, right? So a barrier is something that stands in the way of getting what you want, something that blocks your progress. The example they use is, I want to succeed in math class, or I want to improve my math skills, but I don't know how. So in order to do that, in order to overcome problems and overcome barriers, we set goals, and that's something you set out to do, something that you would work to make happen. So for example, let's use, improving your getting your driver's license. You learn vocabulary words that have to do with the driver's test. You remember the signs, and then you'll pass the test. The goal for increasing your math skills might be that you learn strategies to increase your math skills. For example, here, becoming a student body representative, maybe you connect with someone in your environment and they help you to run for office if that's something that you're interested in doing. So the first part of SDLMI, there are 3 phases. The first phase is about setting a goal. So the first student question you have to ask yourself is, what do I want to learn? And I'll give you an example here, and I said that we're going to do this to help Miss Gillette. She's doing a project for her school that's about increasing your reading comprehension skills. So when we're talking about what we want to learn, you might also want to say, what do I want to do? What do I want to know about? What goal do I want to work on? This is for just Miss Gillette here, this little bit. The teacher objectives, when you're talking about question 1, you have to enable students to identify specific strengths and instructional needs, enable students to communicate their preferences, interests, beliefs, and values, and teach students to prioritize their needs. So a way to do this is by first setting your goals. So you have these sheets in front of you, and I'm sure you see this on your sheet. What do I want to learn or improve on? This is our first question. So simply answer it. In this case, as we move through this module together, we're all going to work on improving and learn to improve on reading comprehension skills as an example. So you can write this down for question 1 as well. Question 2, what do I know about it now? Some alternate phrasing for that is, how can I explain this to somebody, or what can I tell someone about it? This is for just Ms. Gillette right here, the teacher objectives. We want to work to enable students to identify their current status in terms of what data says right now about their levels, then assist students to gather more information about opportunities in and barriers in their environments. So for student question 2, what do I know about it now? An example that you might use is, according to which data source? My reading comprehension skills are at what level? So some example of sources of data. sources of data are saying what about your reading comprehension skills? You may look into progress reports, read theory, EOG testing, that type of thing. All of these sources of data come back and say you have a percentage of accuracy of reading comprehension skills, and maybe they're 60%. And we know that we need to improve that. Accuracy is monitored at 80% or higher. So if you're below 80%, it's a really good idea to set a goal. And even if you're at 80%, you can increase your goal to 85 or 90%. So take a second and try to figure out exactly what your levels are for reading comprehension skills and according to which source. So for student question 3, what must change for me to learn what I don't know? Alternate phrasing is, do I need to change or should I try something else? We look to change things in our own behavior or in the environment around us. We can most easily control the behavior within ourselves, so our choices, our actions. What can we do and empower ourselves to change? For Ms. Gillette, the teacher objectives enable students to decide if their actions will be focused toward capacity building or modifying the environment or both. In this case, for reading comprehension skills and building reading comprehension skills, we're definitely going to be focusing on capacity building and learning strategies to improve reading comprehension skills. To support students to choose a need to address from a prioritized list. So we're organizing this goal setting module and walking through the steps of goal setting using reading comprehension skills as our goal. What must change for me to learn what I don't know? This is question 3 on your sheet. An example of how you might answer this is, I need to learn and implement strategies that will help me build reading comprehension skills. There are some examples of those types of strategies that we can go through. For example, using self-questioning, visualization, summarization, graphic organizers. All of these are strategies that have been evidence-based, research-based to improve reading comprehension skills for students. So learning how to use these skills and using them consistently could help you increase your reading comprehension skills. And Ms. Gillette's study and her activity that she's doing with her school is going to make sure that you learn some strategies to increase reading comprehension skills. So for student question 4, what can I do to make this happen? Alternate phrasing for this question might be, what can I do to make these changes? For Ms. Gillette, teacher objectives, we want to teach students to state a goal and identify criteria for achieving the goal. So these are those specific, measurable, observable goals that we can make sure that we are setting. So what can I do to make this happen? How will I know that this happened if I start? So remember when I talked about your current levels, maybe you're at 60%. If you increase your reading comprehension skills to 80% or answer 8 out of 10 reading comprehension questions correctly, then you've clearly met your goal and increased your goal of increasing reading comprehension skills. All right, so for phase 1, our education supports, we've learned a lot about awareness training, which means being aware of a problem and being aware of possible solutions in terms of changes that we make in ourselves and changes that we make in the environment around us. We've also learned some strategies for problem solving, and this goes hand in hand with that awareness training. We are currently learning about goal setting. So first we learn to set a goal, next we'll learn to make a plan, and then finally we'll learn to measure and adjust our plan. A measure if our plan is being met, if our plan is accurate, if our plan is working, and then adjust it if we need to. All right, so that's all for phase 1. When we come back tomorrow, we'll work on phase 2, making our plan.